Bluff City Media presents the Two Bucks Sports Show. Stepping up to the microphone are your hosts, Drew Gann and Rusty Witten. Now, let's get to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to your Tuesday edition of the Two Bucks Sports Show, a very special edition of the Two Bucks Sports Show with my co-host, Uncle Bucks. Happy birthday today. Just wanted to start this show off wishing you happy birthday, buddy, and show the good people how much you have changed.
Getting older isn't always a bad thing, is it? I mean, listen, I know that some people are naturally beautiful, and for us, we need the facial hair, okay? Mm-hmm. If there's one thing that's true that you can see from my two pictures here, it's that facial hair is a godsend. You know, fun thing about my all denim outfit over here to the right of the screen, those are kangaroo shoes. I don't know if anybody else is familiar with those. They had a pocket in the tongue of them that you could store change in. I'll never forget those shoes.
That's amazing. What a great surprise to learn that today, as well as wishing you happy birthday, buddy. For real, though, couldn't ask for a better friend, co-host. Not bad. Great dad. Appreciate you, buddy. Here's to you. Happy birthday, Uncle Buck.
I appreciate you, Rusty. I appreciate you a lot. And just let the listeners know that one of us is not too high and mighty to do this show on our birthday, and it is me. Rusty decided, it's my day, and on my day, I don't want to do this. Well, today is my day, and I'm doing this, okay? Yeah, got lots to talk about. Can't wait. I do appreciate you, though.
Yeah, Rusty had a great excuse because he got away. We played some of the worst basketball of the year. Maggie had this great trip planned, and I was knee deep in an Old Forester distillery tour. So I think I was winning that day. But enough with the shenanigans to start the show. Let's get back to our normal tomfoolery.
It's Tuesday. I was scared there for a second you're going to have another picture up. It's Tuesday, and what that means is that it's time for us to talk about our weekends in a segment that we like to call our best and beef of the week. What goes up must always come down, so you have to talk about your beefs as well. And I've got a good one for both. But Rusty, it's my day, so I choose. You go first. No. What is the best thing that happened to you this weekend?
Yeah, I got to go this weekend. Was nice and rest and recovering because last week, I had a work trip where I flew to Atlanta for a couple of days, which was fun. I was able to reconnect with a lot of people I've worked with. I've been with this company now for 9 years, almost 8 years. And I've connected with a lot of good people, and most of them were in Atlanta this weekend. And so it felt like everybody that was coming in the room, we were having lunch, were people I hadn't seen in a while. There was one guy there. We hadn't been in the same room since 2018, but we've been on call. So I've seen him almost monthly since 2018, but never been in the same room. So it was nice to catch up and hang out with some folks. And they had a dinner and dance and drink social for us. And it was an open bar.
Prom to me.
Had a great time. Our Region 60 was tasked with coming up with a dance. And so we did the Footloose line dance, which was nice. And so there's a video out there. There's one on my phone of me doing the Footloose dance, and it's probably going to stay there. But it had a good time. I don't know if there's a price. So my best of the week was catching up with a bunch of people I hadn't seen in a while, including some folks from South Carolina. So it was awesome. It ended up being a good social and a good work trip for sure.
Yeah, so we don't shy away from talking about family on this show, our families. And today's my birthday, but yesterday was a day that we celebrate every single year. Yesterday was 4 years in which our oldest kids came to live with us. 4 years ago, March the 31st of 2021, we got a call from Child Protective Services that my wife had some family that needed taken care of. And within 2 hours, it seems like our worlds flipped. We'd been married for 4 months, 4.5 months at the time. And I was very much, hey, let's wait a year to have kids because I just wanted it to be me and her for a little while. And she had actually agreed, even though she wanted to have kids immediately. And I guess that just shows how the good Lord takes care of you when you don't think you know what's best. And I'm telling you, for 4 years, it has been the absolute blessing of our lives. The best thing that's ever happened to us. It was so special immediately that within 2 weeks of having these kids and taking care of these 2 kids, we decided to have one of our own, and it just turned me inside out to a new person right off the bat. And it was just I look forward to celebrating this every year, and we're still in a long, grueling process of adopting, but I don't need that. You know, they're mine. They're my kids. They're my wife's kids, and we love them dearly. And we celebrated it last night. We had a cake. My wife put a 33 on it for me, but we also put a 4 on it for them because of 4 years that they've been with us. And I don't even care about my birthday anymore.
Yeah. I love it, man. I vividly remember where I was when I got the call of what was going on. It was more of a debrief. Like, I just need to tell you what's happened. I just need you to listen. I don't think I spoke for like 10 minutes and you just talked. And I was like, well, how can I help? Like, what do I need to do? I was so proud of you. Never been more proud of you than that phone call, man. And it's ended up being 2 wonderful kids. I love them like they're my own. And your lives have been richly blessed by those 2. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I don't want to hear anybody tell me that I'm a good person. I appreciate Kenny in the comments saying good people, like the reward is all ours. Like, I don't want any part of this. Like, if you want to give credit to anybody, let it be my wife, because it was a hard sell. Like, she sold me on it hard because I was not sure about it, but immediately they're family. And so, all right, what comes up must come down. Rusty, your biggest beef of the week.
Air travel, bro. Like, listen, so somehow there's a direct Southwest flight from Memphis to Atlanta in the morning. Takes like 50 minutes. Like, it was perfect. Coming back in the evening, there is no direct flight. So going there, we left out at 6:50. We got there like, in no time. Coming back, we had to fly from Atlanta to Houston and then Houston back to Memphis. And typically when you fly from Atlanta to Houston, you follow the coast and go over New Orleans, go around that way and land in Houston, and then you come back up. Well, there was a massive storm cell over Texas, Louisiana. So we ultimately ended up going directly over Memphis, over Missouri, Oklahoma, and around in the back way to get to Houston. So
you kicked a loop on the way on the way to Memphis.
We took the long way home, brother. We had a 6-pack of Natty, and we had a long way to drive. And
kicked the loop.
We did. And so we ended up coming in the back way to Houston. It's supposed to be like a little 2.5-hour, 40-minute flight. It ended up being like almost 3 hours and 45 minutes. I didn't think I was ever getting off that daggone plane. And then we got delayed out of Houston. So I was supposed to land in Memphis at 10:05. I didn't get back to my truck in the covered garage until like 11:45. I was exhausted. And if you know me, you know that's
the worst experience I've ever heard.
It's like 2 hours after my bedtime. It was awful. Like, I've had much worse, but after leaving out at 6:50 on Thursday, being in meetings all day Thursday, the late night Thursday night, meetings all day Friday, and then traveling back, brother, like, my tail still hasn't got here. It's dragging in at some point over the next couple of days, but I'm grateful to be back home. That's for sure.
Yeah. I told Rusty, he was telling me the story earlier, and I was like, as you see the video or whatever, the plane's trajectory and kind of where you're at, if you see it going over Memphis on the way to Houston, Texas, I'm going to DB Cooper this thing.
Absolutely.
Find me a parachute and find the escape hatch and just parachute out over Memphis. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, boys out.
All right, my beef for the weekend. It's just funny and sad at the same time. Me and my wife were at a church service up about 25-30 minutes away on Sunday night, and it was a no kids thing. So my boy had batting practice. A friend came and picked him up. He's 8. His name's Braxton. I just talked about him. I get a call as the invitation's going, and my wife is singing, and I'm attempting to play the bass. And my phone blows up, and I'm like, oh, something happened at work. It can wait another minute and a half as this dude's praying for me to exit stage right and see what's going on, see whose power's out. Then the next person that calls was my son's baseball coach. I was like, oh no, this is bad. Okay. So I lay the axe down. I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, there's been an accident. Braxton got hit in the head with a baseball bat. he's going to need to go to the emergency room and get stitches. I'm taking him. I was like, thank you for being there. I'll call you back shortly. I got to get out of this church. So my wife is just singing. This is her song. She's a magnificent singer, if you've ever had the chance to listen to her. But as soon as she tails off, I'm just like, I think behind her, kind of like pat her on the butt, and I'm like, hey, we got to go. Like, that's all I said. I think she saw it in my eyes because she beat me to the truck. And ended up, it's 8-year-old boys playing baseball. Some kid picked up a bat, and it wasn't like batting time, and just took a cut and just got my son in the forehead. Okay. Right on the eye. And you're just going to split right here every time that you make any kind of hard contact with your eyebrow. So it ended up being nothing. But we were sitting in here, and for the reasons that I've kind of laid out in my best of the week, we're trying to adopt. It's a legal situation. It's going on for too long. I'm always like super cautious of this. And I'm in there. They're doing a CT scan just as a precaution to see if he's got a concussion or anything like that. Turned out it was negative. But the guy was taking notes on the computer for his file. He said, 8-year-old boy hit in head with baseball bat. And I was like, hey, sir, can you put at practice, please? Like, at practice by an 8-year-old? Like, we've got to, cover our bases. Like, do not just end this with hit kid cracked in head with bat, with baseball bat.
That's hilarious.
Baseball bat at baseball practice, okay? But he's good. Well, everything's good. So
yeah, it's a good thing he's hard-headed. He does get that from his Uncle Buck. That is no doubt about that. So look, we wasted enough of your time. We got plenty of Grizzlies to talk about, so we're going to deep dive right now. Just another quick reminder, it is Uncle Buck's birthday, and we are the 2 Buck Sports Show live every Tuesday and Thursday noon during your lunch break. Don't want anybody to miss. If you just joined, we're wishing Uncle Buck a happy birthday. Both young and old here with us today. Thank y'all for being here to help me celebrate the one, the only Uncle Buck. But Uncle Buck, you got an early birthday present. You got a new Memphis Grizzlies basketball coach, or maybe I got a late birthday present. I'm not sure which one it was.
I think it's more yours than mine. Yeah, I've purposefully not talked about this. Okay, I know you and Luke got on Saturday morning. Bluff City Media needed to address it, and I'm glad you and Luke were available to do it. I've just been holding back. Okay, and so I'm gonna let you kind of set the stage here, and just we'll go through everything.
Yeah, so after what has been a tumultuous season at best, including winless in our last 11 games over teams with a record above 500, 2025 has been a terrible year for the Memphis Grizzlies. Started off pretty well in 2024, getting as high as the 2 seed. But since the turn of the calendar year, things had not been going well. And so ultimately, the decision was made and then pulled on a Taylor Jenkins firing on Friday. I was in a work meeting in Atlanta. Drew calls me and I'm like, hey, I got to call you back. And he leaves me a voicemail, says, call me right now. And then I look and literally I went from 0 to 27 text messages like that. And the firing had happened. So Taylor Jenkins was demoted or promoted to fan, customer, whatever you want to say. It was no longer the head coach of the Memphis.
He got some PTO. They added some PTO for him. All right. My record on Taylor Jenkins is quite clear. I do not lay the lion's share of blame on him. Me and Rusty have fought about this. I lay it on the players. Rusty lays a bigger chunk on Taylor Jenkins. I'm not going to argue the fact at this point that Taylor Jenkins should not have gotten fired. I do argue, I don't know what good it did to fire him with 9 games left. We're going to get into that more lately because we've kind of seen a couple games now, so I think we may have developed some different feelings or more educated feelings since then. But I was stunned that they fired him with 9 games left, and they promoted from within. They promoted Tuomas Iisalo or whatever. Iisalo, I guess we're calling
Iisalo. He ain't from North Mississippi, that's for sure.
Yeah. Tuomas Iisalo, okay?
You got too many vowels in your last name, bud.
what kind of last name starts with 2 consecutive, of the same vowel? That's not even real.
And not even a popular vowel, like low, like one of the lower ones on the totem pole. It's like A-E-I, like it's the 3rd one in the song.
Oh man, I don't get it, but yeah, where I kind of sit with it now is I kind of feel a little bad for Taylor Jenkins, if I'm just being honest with you, because
Of course you do.
I have always said that I wanted to know kind of who made the decision on the assistant coach staff. It became obvious, and maybe everybody else kind of figured this out. Maybe I was just late to the party, but it came readily obvious to me that he was neutered before this season starts. And if you think of this and you put yourself in Taylor Jenkins' shoes, he's by far had his worst coaching record or
decision.
It's been his worst year of coaching in probably his whole entire life. And you just don't get worse. I've said this forever. He was a good coach for the first 5 years. He shouldn't be a bad coach now.
Yeah.
And he was obviously neutered to start the season. And then had an assistant coach and assistant coaches and elite assistant assigned to him by management, which goes to show you that, one, Zach Kleiman obviously has lost all faith in you. And so at that point, the mistake was made not to fire Jenkins last season.
Mm-hmm.
It is beyond all comprehension for me if you are going to tank a dude's reputation or his confidence in his staff, who he hires, but you clean out house for him, of his staff, of his guys, and insert your own guys. And that move also sends a message to the team, to the players as well, that the front office doesn't have your back. So then they should have just fired him from the start. Yeah. I make this case a lot, and this is the last thing I'll say. This is kind of what we know. It's a Mississippi college sports thing, but this is the best way I can. In Mississippi, you can only sign a 4-year contract for government employees. That includes head football coaches, head basketball coaches, baseball coaches, everything. Every year you do good, your contract is just extended. That's all it is. They just roll it over, you know? There have been times where you do not roll over your coach for bad performance, and immediately everybody knows, okay, this is your year, because they've done, you're still under contract for this many years, for 3 years, but they did not give you that 4th year, and it shrinks your buyout. So you know, and everybody knows, other coaches know, they start talking to your players. Everybody knows you're on thin ice, and never, ever does that work out. Does that instill any sort of confidence or anything with a coach? And it immediately makes you known to everybody that you are going to go if things get hard. And that's what happens.
So, insider baseball, I did hear through the grapevine that Zach Kleiman was the one that personally flew out to Europe to convince Iisalo to join this staff to come on last year. And LaRoche and St. Andrews were picks by Taylor. And that's why, again, that's what I know. This is what I think. Taylor Jenkins did spend the majority of this year looking over his shoulder, right? Like watching behind him, because he knew that coach in waiting was right there behind him. He knew that they had gone and gotten T.I. and brought him on the staff as the guy to reinvent the Grizzlies through a high pick and roll offense. What tells me is Taylor heard that and decided to lean a bit more towards Noah LaRoche's offense, whether that's out of pettiness, whether that's he thought it might work better. I don't know. I couldn't possibly know. But I know if you watch all of the interviews of T.I. talking about his system, yes, there's some motion, yes, there's some intensity, but he's a big believer, and I've done a lot of research on this over the last couple of days because I, like you, Uncle Buck, thought it was the other way around. But if you go back and watch his interviews and you watch his X's and O's, his top thing is you have to have an elite point guard, and it starts with a high pick and roll with a elite screen setter. That's what his system is. And so whether or not that's what we were fed or whatever, that's what the research shows. I'm almost done. And so Taylor is spending his time looking over his shoulder at T.I. thinking this guy's going to get my job if I screw up. So I'm going to make it harder on the front office, and I'm going to lean a different direction. I think this decision to fire Taylor Jenkins was probably made February, March. Frustration. I think there was some conversations were had. And then he got fired after the Thunder game where we fell apart in the fourth quarter. Once again, that wasn't it, right? If coaches got fired after losing the Thunder, there'd be a lot of coaches fired this year.
Oh, yeah.
But that was on the heels of a 1-4 road trip where you needed to make some ground up to start moving up in the playoff race, and nothing happened. You bench Zach Edey and you never play him. You send GG to the hustle. There was a lot of things that happened there that kind of directly went in the face of the front office, and I think the decision was made, and then they pulled the trigger then. And I don't think we'll get more into T.I. here in a minute, but I do not think, unfortunately, I'll say that, unfortunately, I don't think it's a tryout for T.I. at all.
We were sold on this T.I. fella's offense from the start. Like, I feel like this is just they have tried so hard. And like I said, we're a few days removed now, and I'm speaking now about what I felt at the time. And it seems like everybody's kind of gotten on the same message that, this wasn't Tuomas's offense. But for like 8 months, that's all we've heard is that this is I called it the communist offense. Mm-hmm. It was the French guy, the Finnish guy who came from Paris, brought this offense that sucks and does not feature your star point guard, and he hates it. Like, that's what we were told for so long. You can't say we weren't led to believe
I think that. And that's what I'm saying. I think there was
some
insider leaks for that to make that happen, because if you go back and watch all the interviews leading up to him getting hired, he's a pick and roll guy. That's what he is.
You're right. But how many people are going and researching assistant coaches? Right? Never.
Yeah.
I'm not alone in that. I believe what I'm told a lot of times. And especially when it comes to assistant coaches.
Agreed. Now listen, I'm like you. I listened to that back at the beginning of the year, but
I was absolutely stunned that when I saw that they released a press release saying, Blake Ahern got fired and this is his offense. And I was like, wait, this is Blake Ahern's offense now? Like, since when? We've been talking about this for 6 months. I was like, they are pushing this guy in a coordinated effort to get him distance from Taylor Jenkins is what it felt like to me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. There's definitely a lot of smoke and mirrors, bait and switch, but what you're seeing is, in my opinion, a masterclass of climbing for us to warm up to the idea of this guy being our coach. 100%. He is trying to flip the script and make this look like it was all Noah LaRoche. It was all Taylor Jenkins. It was all St. Andrews. Then T.I. is going to be the guy for the future. I know, like, we'll get more into T.I. here in a minute, but let's talk about Zach Kleiman's role in this. Yeah. Kleiman's role in this is not – his hands are not clean, right? There's some dirt there. I'll give my opinion real quick, and then I'll let you go for a bit. A lot of this is on Kleiman because we're still feeling some of the ramifications of decisions made 2-3 years ago with personnel, with Marcus Smart being the main problem here, right? Because not only did we bet on Marcus Smart through the tune of 2 first-round picks back then, but then took another first-round pick and us taking on Marvin Bagley and some guy who's not even on the roster anymore, and Johnny Goodwin, right? Like,
nope.
These guys, what was his name?
Johnny
Davis.
You're thinking of Jordan Goodwin.
Jordan Goodwin. It was Johnny. Look it up.
That's
the point. That's the point. Is that we basically had to take in trash and send out a first round pick.
Davis.
So, thank you, Johnny Davis. So we absolutely whiffed on Marcus Smart, tripling down on youth, and then it didn't pan out, right? Gigi's defense has been worse than Santi's, and that's saying something. We have had guys who are hurt consistently, but we don't have that veteran presence. And it hadn't been Ja, it hadn't been Dez, and it hadn't been Jaren outside of the way Jaren's been playing. It could be worse. We could be homeless, but we're not a whole lot better off with the roster that we have.
Real or counterfeit, it would be worse to be homeless.
I'm going to say counterfeit.
I'm going to say being homeless may be better.
That's what I'm saying. Being homeless might be a little bit
expectations.
Better.
You don't have TVs to watch the Grizzlies. Like,
that's it. I ain't got to watch that monstrosity they roll out every night.
All right, here's my thought on Kleiman. Everybody's kind of made the comment like, oh, well, this is a trial balloon for Tuomas. I hate this guy's name, by the way. I can't stand it. You've got to come up with a better nickname for Tuomas Iisalo.
Because here in the Mid-South, we will never get it right.
I don't want to. Let's just call him Tommy, okay? Tommy, this was a trial balloon. This is a test run. Well, let me tell you something. There is no way that this ends up looking good for him.
No.
Like, he takes over with 9 games left for a team that is massively underachieving, falling from the 2 seed in the West to what is absolutely going to be a play-in team. And you got 9 games to fix it or to have some kind of revelation. Like, it was never going to work out well 9 games into the season. If you want a trial balloon, fire him at the All-Star break, fire him at the trade deadline, fire him
which is exactly why I'm telling you this is not a trial run for T.I., and I'm not happy about it. And we'll get more on that here in a minute.
Yeah,
but that's what this tells me. There's no way this is a trial run when you got the hardest stretch of the season and then the playoffs. No way.
Which just further solidifies my point that they neutered Taylor Jenkins, and it was a failing situation because we've always talked. I've spent a lot of time defending Taylor, saying he's a good coach and the players have stunk. You spend a lot of time grilling Taylor because of rotations and game feel. Well, nobody has considered the psychological things that anybody in that coaching staff has gone through this year. Like, it's got to be miserable, and it's Zach Kleiman's fault. Like, you look at this, and who's the most infamously polarizing general manager in all professional sports? It's Jerry Jones. Why does Jerry Jones get the rap that he's got? Because he meddles in everything. This is Zach Kleiman getting too big for his britches. He's good. He's a good player evaluator. He needs some work on landing a big trade. And now he is influencing game plan. Like, get out of here. That's not your role.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, a lot of it with Taylor coaching scared, whatever you want to call it, Wayno's right. He lost the locker room. Like, you could tell there were cracks in his foundation for a long time. He lost the locker room.
Didn't even have his back.
Because he was looking over his shoulder less and less as the season went on. His players went to bat for him less and less and less, and they all did the professional thing. And I believe, what Des said and some of those guys said in the immediate aftermath. But like they came to his defense less and less. Like there was no clapbacks on Twitter like there used to be or mention of in the post game. It was just all like it was very much. It was obvious that it's twofold. Taylor Jenkins losing the locker room, and Zach Kleiman definitely hamstrung him with hiring his head coach last summer.
And when things were going bad, and that random anonymous GM said that John Morant could be on the trade block, it was Zach Kleiman that came above and beyond in his statement, borderline aggressive statement saying we'll never trade Ja. And it was almost like just further cementing Ja on Kleiman's side of this thing.
Yeah.
And it was just a tank job from the start. And I don't say what you want about Taylor Jenkins. If it was a coach I hated, I promise you I'd feel the same thing. It was a disservice done by the front office by hamstringing him to start the season. You created a divide before the season even started.
And it started with the hiring of Iisalo last year and the drafting of Zach Edey. Because if you look back at the draft, Zach Edey is the prototype for what Iisalo wants to do with the pick and roll. Like he's a wide body.
We find out now.
Yeah, he goes up. He's a great wide body to set picks. Yeah. Donovan Clingan, Khalil Ware are the guys that fit more of what Noah LaRoche wanted to do. Kleiman he tried to get Clingan and allegedly, which I believe. And then we drafted Edey at 9 and then came out and said, team's going to have to game plan for Zach Edey. He's going to be our enforcer. He's going to be our guy. And what happens, but Taylor Jenkins never plays him. The system goes a different direction. He never plays him. Right. I think that there's a connection there as well. There's a connection there as well.
I've talked about a lot. Like somebody's going to have to clear the deck here for me because I'm not smart enough to put it together. Why in the world we draft Zach Edey and run at the time we were told Tommy's motion offense. Apparently it was never his offense to start with. And so
apparently.
Maybe that was the missing piece that I was missing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get to one. Okay, go ahead. Finish it up.
I was just going to say, and it just kept being proven forward, the way he refused to play Zach Edey, the way he leaned further away from pick and roll. And it worked for a while until we played, good teams who could sit back in a zone and assault this thing. But Taylor Jenkins was absolutely a lame duck coach. He had no shot trying to get there, but wasn't either able, stubborn enough, I don't know, to get out of his own way, sticking to his analytics and allowing teams to sit in the zone and beat us to sleep. The good teams anyway.
All right. My last beef of this is what I saw from fans, on a lot of fans, and these were 100% Taylor haters. Okay, that doesn't make it. That's not the reason why I'm hating. Soon as Taylor Jenkins was fired, not soon as, a couple hours later, a Grizz PR injury report comes out. Ja Morant questionable, and everybody collectively, it was the same quote. Ja Morant has the chance to do the funniest thing ever. Kenny, I saw you tweet it. Dang it. That is implying that Ja Morant was sitting out while healthy. And now he is happy that his coach got fired. And because he's now happy, he will play basketball. And that is the most insulting thing I could have ever think of for a superstar player on my team. That's the worst mindset. If that is true, it is not hilarious. It is a massive demerit in my book. The fact that he would just sit out because you don't like the coach.
Yeah. I hear you 100%. Absolutely I hear everything you say there. And Ja Morant is a professional athlete. He is a prima donna. He is what he is, right? That's what he is. So I'm not surprised that that's the case. The offense is not geared to him. It's taking his touches away. All the stats are coming out now. Hang on, I'm not justifying. Just hear what I'm saying.
Okay.
So just give me a second. There's a lead up and a point I'm going to make.
Okay.
So we're seeing now that he's in a career low touches, career low dribbles, career low scoring. Like everything has gone down, right? Everything has been stacked against Ja on this offense. And so what I think was he was pouting like a petulant child, 100%. I think he was healthy. I think he was sitting out. I agree with you. Like, yeah, you're mad at the coach. There were times that I didn't like my coaches growing up, but I didn't sit out. I mean, now granted, I went and paid millions of dollars, but I didn't sit out. Like, just because you don't like the situation you're in doesn't mean you can pout, especially when the team is looking at you. Like, there's so many eyes on Ja as this being his team. We go as he goes. And if he's sitting out healthy, no wonder we've absolutely boo-booed the bed the last month and a half as we're limping to the end of this season.
Yeah, I mean, I have no respect for it, I think is what I'm saying. Like, I know that they are multimillionaires, but this isn't about money. And I know that they're celebrities, but this isn't about celebrity. This is something that millions of people and hundreds of thousands of Grizzlies fans spend their time, money, everything, their just emotions on a team that they love and care about. And if he was hurt, then I take it all back. I've said this many times, but I have reason to think that it's just an absolute sandbagging. And if that's what this is, I don't care if your coach has benched you or if he's forcing you to play center and not touch the ball at all. Like, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your teammates, you owe it to the fans. Like, I want no part of any conversation that excuses Ja Morant for not playing basketball when he's healthy. I don't care the situation. And it's been my main point pro Taylor Jenkins this year is that Ja Morant has played 44 games, and often in those 44 games, he's not giving 100%. I don't care that I understand it. I'm sympathetic to the fact that your role in this communist offense, as I've called it, is diminished and it's not what you want.
Sure.
But I mean, come on, what are we going to do? Like, you're my superstar. I want to win a championship with you. There's nothing about a guy who pouts like this and takes games off that makes me think that he will ever be able to be the number one on a title-winning team.
And there's been some things set out today on ESPN. Some of those very similar things were said.
Totally wrong.
So here's the last thing I'll say about it is I think
down the chimney.
Yeah, he fell down the chimney. He ain't running up the chimney. He's ducking the smoke, man. If that's the case, he's not quite what he's the anti-Dennis Green. He isn't what we thought he was, and we let him off the hook. Is what it is. But here's the thing: Ja Morant, whether he was pouting, whether he was sitting out, like, what's done is done. It's time to turn the page and move forward. We've got 6-7 games left. We got the playoffs ahead of us. We need Demon Ja back. It's the only way we're going to go forward. Like, it is what it is. So I'm not letting him off the hook. I'm not saying what he was doing is okay, but at the end of the day, just go hoop. That's all we've been asking. We're going to see what it looks like. He's got an opportunity to play, 8 games in a row to finish that lead out the end of the season and head into the playoffs. It's the first time he's done that in 3 years. Nothing about that tells me he's going to be able to play in a 7-game series. If we go 7 games, barely going to be able to play 4 games against the Lakers or the Rockets or the Nuggets or back-to-back play-in games. Like I don't have a lot of trust in Ja Morant right now, unfortunately, from his health.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, like I said, I get that the workplace environment has not been ideal, but this team all year has lacked leaders, and I'm sorry, but it's not up to Jaren and Desmond to be shoving people on the sideline. It's Ja's team. Like it just has to be. It can be Jaren's, it can be Desmond's, but just be okay with being not as good as you should be.
But now it's T.I.'s team throughout the rest of this year and likely going forward. Thoughts on Drew? We've had 2 games, back-to-back games. We've had a game against the Lakers and a game against the Celtics, 2 of the better teams that we've played in a long time, right? Again, top-tier team in the Eastern Conference and a potential playoff matchup for us. What are the early returns on Iisalo that you've seen?
I'll answer your question with a quick question for you. What was your best case scenario, knowing that we fired Jenkins and you went to Tuomas? What was your best case scenario?
For me, it was 2 things. Ja, Des, and Jaren were going to play 35, 36 minutes. We were going to get more minutes out of them, which we have. Zach Edey was going to get to play more and be part of the pick and roll offense, and that's what we've seen. I didn't expect us to go win every game that we played. I didn't expect us to go 9-0 throughout the rest of the season. I expected us to be more competitive, have effort level and energy, which we have. But I'm not so sure that it's all that different yet. It's been 2 games. We've had, 2 practices? Like, I'm not letting him off the hook. It is what it is. Yeah. But it just hasn't been glaringly different.
Here's how I would answer your question then. I tend to agree. Tuomas could have gotten my vote if you play the starters more minutes. And that's virtually it. Like, I don't really care about Edey. I was of the persuasion that Zach Edey – this was Tuomas's offense. So, like, Zach Edey, I didn't care about anyways. All right. What you've seen in 2 games is a carbon copy. The only thing that's different, and everybody's like, oh, they've played harder. No, they haven't. You've had Ja Morant play. That's the only difference. Ja Morant picks up the pace for the whole team. That is the only thing that's changed. The defense hasn't gotten better. You gave up 127 points to you gave up 130 something points to the Spurs. You still scored 126 or 127. And then you got blown out in the 4th quarter by Boston. It's the same thing.
And again, the point, hang on.
Make that many
I was about to say, the point is, he got fired Friday. We had a shoot around before the Lakers game. That's all we had.
That's the point I was going to make. But what is true about that comment is that you will not get 2 days off until April the 6th. So, like, is that the day where you install stuff? Like I said, it was never about style of offense or style of defense or scheme. You said play your players more minutes and try harder. He has not played the players more minutes. Like,
to be fair, he has played
he reasonably could do to improve this team.
He has played. So the 2 things that I'll say, shout out Smooth Southpaw for being here. The 2 things that I've seen, Ja played more in the 4th quarter last night, even though we got blown out. But in the 2 games that I've seen, the Lakers and the Celtics, both times you had, especially in the Laker game, it was in late in the 3rd quarter, early 4th quarter, he pulls Jaren out. He pulls Jaren out to sit. And immediately the Lakers hit 3 back-to-back shots with us missing in between. And Jaren's butt had just touched the chair. And he grabs Jaren and says, go back in, get back in. And Jaren goes right back to the scorer's table. He might have been out 30 seconds. And Taylor Jenkins would never. So if nothing else, I have seen him react in 2 basketball games better than I've seen Taylor Jenkins react throughout the course of the season.
You can make that argument that he didn't let Jaren sit as long. All right. Well, Jaren played 33. Ja played 35, but leading the way was Santi Aldama with 36. And then in the Lakers game, let's see, Jaren had foul trouble, so I'll give you Jaren Jackson Jr. Desmond had 33, Ja had 31, Jaren had 29.
I came out on Twitter after the game and said, I said that. I quoted that on Twitter.
And I'm kind of taking this from, I heard Gary Parrish going around on it yesterday, but because I didn't hear the interview myself, but he paraphrased his interview by basically saying, we play less minutes with the hopes that they play harder in the fewer minutes they play. Well, they don't do that. But my point in there's no difference is the only thing that I believe Taylor Jenkins did wrong schematically, like over and over and over and over and over again, was not playing your best three players 35 minutes minimum.
And I said,
hasn't done that either.
Because several people tweeted out the small clip of the interview where Iisalo says, I don't know, maybe you'd play your star players more. And I immediately said, none of them played more than 33 minutes. So he didn't play them at all. So I agree. I'm agreeing with that point. We still played 11 dudes in the first quarter in the back-to-back games. We still are running our stars less than 36 minutes on a night when Jason Tatum, these other guys are playing 36, 37, 38. You can't tell me that a 40-year-old LeBron can play more minutes than Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, Jaren was in foul trouble. Again, I'll concede that. But we haven't seen a change in that.
+1 for Tuomas, -1 for Jaren.
That's it. That's it. That's it. I just again, if you want me to come on here and say that, and I know that's not what you're going to, I think we should now talk about the future, right? For me, he ain't it, man. I've said all along, immediately after the firing, leading up to his firing, I have said, and I'm still on this hill, you cannot promote from within. It's not going to be enough of a change of a different voice. A, B, I don't know that this guy is going to come in and have the player's ear. He doesn't have the championship pedigree. I said all along, give me a guy who's been there, like a Sam Cassell or a Mike Brown or a Frank Vogel, who have been in a championship type setting as a player or a coach who knows what it takes to get there. I don't want some guy. Again, we had Nola Roach and now Iisalo, and the hair gel supply in Memphis have gone down tremendously with both of them being here because they use it all. And I don't want some guy that's like lacquering their hair down to their head. I want a guy who can coach basketball, right? I want a guy who's been there.
By using this logic, Rusty, you should have been the biggest Taylor Jenkins guy in the world. He's balding with a beard.
He's bald, but I'm saying, I want some guy that's going to be in there, that's going to be a hard-nosed coach, that's going to get their ear, and I don't know that Iisalo is that guy. Unfortunately, listen, this is exactly right. He is clearly the head coach going forward. Not a doubt in my mind he is going to be the head coach next year. But we are goofy as a franchise if we don't at least explore all of our options and do an exhaustive head coaching search to see who is the guy that can actually be the adult in the room and get the players' ears.
All right. So you've heard my spiel.
And I am going to hate on him, Kenny, because I don't have nice hair. That's why I'm a hatfish. So I am going to hate on him for his hair.
All right. My spiel on interims. You never hire the interim. Never. For more than one reason. One, they're an assistant coach by trade. They never inherit a good situation.
Nope.
And so even if they do good, it's only based on their ability to rally the troops. Okay. Mm-hmm. Maybe T.I. has rallied the troops. The only way you've been able to see that is that John Moran has certainly started to play basketball.
Playing. Yeah.
All right. There is no way, as I've said on this show, there's no way for him to pass the eye test for me, and or anybody for that matter. I don't see a situation in which this really works. I hope I'm wrong, because I would rather be wrong and the Grizzlies be good every time.
Sure.
I'd rather just be the most factually incorrect person in the world if it means the Grizzlies are good. Okay. Yeah. But also the problem with an interim coach in the NBA, specifically with the player empowerment that exists in the NBA, is he has been in that locker room as John Morant chooses not to play. Mm-hmm. How can he have that respect from John Morant? Somebody has got to come in and a totally new voice. And that's why I'm anti-Tuomas, because I think that, I'm over here saying it looks like Taylor Jenkins to me. I respect the fact that he will not have the time to install anything. We do not know what Iisalo's team will look like this season. I'm saying that right now. We'll never know. And knowing that, the fact that he was on this staff in which, in my opinion, John Morant chose not to play for. You cannot make him your head coach. You have to go get someone. And me and you agree on this. Someone, I want Zach Kleiman to get a veteran roster and a veteran coach. The team is too young, and you've got an unproven head coach.
Bad news.
It's that simple for me.
And I agree. But the hard part, Drew, is we truly are over a barrel when it comes to tradable assets. Luke Kennard has been awful, so a sign and trade is going to be tough. Santi hasn't been great lately. Same situation there. Brandon Clark's untradeable now because of his knee injury. We got rid of Marcus Smart's salary in a salary dump, so we don't have a big contract to bring back unless you trade one of the big three. So it's going to be super hard to upgrade this roster from a veteran standpoint, player-wise. So to me, that's why it's so much more important for you to go get a veteran coach, a guy who has got battle scars. That's like, hey, look, I know what it takes to get there. Follow me. John Morant, get off your you-know-what, play basketball. Zach Edey, go eat and lift weights and be tough. Like, we need guys, we need a coach like not quite Lionel Hollins, because I don't know that some of these soft new players could take that, but a guy in that vein that's a no-nonsense guy. I was listening to the Daily Memphian podcast yesterday, and they were talking about that. Lionel won't even do a handshake with LeBron James, and we got Taylor Jenkins out here doing Tyus's dance with John Morant. We need an adult in the room that's going to be about business and help us take that next step. I agree with DG. One of the few times that I've known Daniel Greer that I actually agree with him on something. But I think if T.I. is our coach next year, then we're 2 years away from being a championship contender at least.
Yeah, and I don't care that. I honestly thought it was a massive asset for Taylor Jenkins. I've said this, that he had a good relationship with the players. Then Zach Kleiman neutered him and made him pick sides. And
I don't agree with that because,
I do think it's important, but it's important to have it's the most important thing. You've got to be able to get the most out of them, but it is important that they do get along as people.
Agreed. I think there has to be some level of mutual likability, but I think respect and accountability hold more weight. I know. You're welcome.
I do. I agree with you.
Good thing we're recording this so you can go back and watch it. But I think
and I put it on the screen.
Yeah. You need to be likable, but you need to be respected and accountable. I think there's a marked gap there.
This is Rusty and DG's. The meme of the Crips and the Bloods tying their bandanas together. This is what y'all are doing right now. Y'all are coming together over wanting a veteran head coach.
That's it. We disagreed on our previous coach, but we agree on where we need to be in the future. Right. And I don't, especially seeing what we've seen this season, exactly what you said. If that's truly the case, that Tuomas let Ja tank this season and all the things that happened, bro, I just need to I don't know. I think a fresh start is what is needed for this team that can unlock these players. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I think that's a good place for us to leave it there regarding that. We do have a game tonight, second half of a back-to-back. If Ja plays tonight, you won't need to give me a lie to give him a lie detector. I will 100% believe that he was fine.
That Grizz PR tweet is going to hit different this afternoon, and it will be. You will hear a collective.
Everybody else is going to be excited, and I'm just going to be stewing. I'm going to be the unhappy Grizzlies fan now. It's been you all year long, and it's going to be me this year.
Well, listen, we do have a back-to-back in the most important game of the season, and It's come down to this because we've lost to the Blazers and the Nets and the Bulls and the Kings and all these teams we had no business losing to. It is now a must-win time against a streaking Warriors team who are 7-3 in their last 10. They got Jimmy Butler. They're now top 10 defensively in the NBA since getting Jimmy Butler. They're 7th on the season. I think they're top 5 since the trade deadline.
18-5 since they traded for Jimmy Butler.
This is a different and what are we struggling with the most right now, Drew? Perimeter defense. And what does Steph Curry and crew do? Shoot the ball from the perimeter. So our backs against the wall. This to me, this is make or break between, do we just go are we just losing out to keep our pick play in, or do we have a salvageable shot at the 5-6 seed?
I'm never pro tank, just as a rule. I've just went on a diatribe criticizing our favorite player because he chooses not to play. However, if this game tonight, this is it. If we lose this game, we will have lost the tiebreaker to the Lakers, to the Warriors, to every other team, Denver, any team that we could go up against in a tiebreak situation, we've lost all of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is our one shot to hang on to one.
If we lose this game, we will be in the play.
Yep.
And because I do believe that. And if we are in the play-in, Rusty,
you got the Clippers.
Washington gets a lottery protected first round pick from us next year.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose the 7-8 game, you absolutely try to lose the 9-10 game. Because I mean, what's the best thing to have you play Oklahoma City?
Yeah, and get
and I'm not
swept in 4.
Yeah. Just
Drew, this is we have to win tonight. Like, point blank period. Everybody, King Minks was in the comments this morning of the Daily Grind asking, like, do the Stars play tonight? By God, they better, and they better play 40 minutes. Like,
if
they
not,
better
just tank now.
I mean, that's it.
I'm
like,
being serious.
If we're on the Daily Grind in the morning with Luke on our 3 Wide Wednesday and have to talk about the fact that Ja and Dez and Jaron played 30 minutes and we lost, I'm going to be insufferable SOB.
This is the most critical game of the season. And we've said 1,000 times, this could be the game that changes our opinion. And a big win at home against the Warriors, this Warriors team, would change the way I feel about it. But another 15-point loss, I mean, the goose is cooked, if you ask me.
I mean, that's it, man. You get blown out tonight, and it's a wrap.
Let's end it on a good note, because I have loved this. Daniel Greer reminds us, Grizzlies games are on Action News 5 tonight. And as a YouTube TV subscriber, I also, because I get Memphis channels in North Mississippi, I also get this, and it is the best to be able to flip between games now. Because I guess it was I think it was Oklahoma City, the last game of Taylor Jenkins' career. They were playing at the same time as Ole Miss baseball, which was also, and it felt like I had cable again, because I was like, oh, I can just one button click between games. This is something I thought I'd never have again, Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, Petey did an awesome job too on TNT last night. I do want to talk about that. I hated it. Pete did a great job. I hated Brevin Knight not being there. Hated that.
I made the comment, and I thought it was funny. Nobody's acknowledged it in the comments this morning, but it felt as if you caught your dad on a date with a hotter woman, because it was just like, you tell me Brevin is on TNT? I mean, Pete's on TNT, Big Boy Television, with somebody else? Like,
and it was funny. There were several times last night where Pete's Grizz fandom, I guess, was coming out a little bit. And I love to see it. There was a point where Brendan Haywood called – Kristaps Porzingis was like bent over blocking John Morant, and they didn't call a foul. And Brendan Haywood was like, I mean, that looks clean to me, Pete. And there was a pregnant pause. Like, it was a long pause before Pete was like,
it felt so
and it's
weird.
a turnover for the Grizzlies. And I'm like, Pete, I know you don't agree, man, because it wasn't clean.
Because there was a big dunk that one of the Celtics – it was that inbounds play where they threw the alley-oop to Jason Tatum that he almost stuffed on the front of the rim.
Yeah.
And Petey got excited, and I was like, oh, no, don't do that. We know you. We know what you think. Be honest with the people, Pete.
But the pregnant pause after the Porzingis should have been foul on Ja was amazing. Hey was like, looks clean to me, Pete. And then it was just like.
I wish through the speakers, we all would have heard. What you talking about?
But it was a solid 3 seconds, 4 seconds. He didn't say a word.
And then Brevin was just behind him on a couple. When they showed the bench, I saw Brevin just in a hoodie like this. He was mad. He was mad. I would love to give Brevin Knight truth serum. I hope that we get to the night court as soon as the season's over, where we just let Brevin just air it out.
Yes, all the dirty laundry for sure. So that's going to do it for your Tuesday edition of the $2 Sports Show. Wayno, Southpaw, Kenny, DG, everybody in the comments, thanks for being here, hanging with us today on this beautiful day. It's a gorgeous day. Get outside, take a lap for the last 4 or 5 minutes of your lunch break, get some fresh air, go be a friend to somebody who needs a friend. And reminder, we'll be back here Thursday live at noon. Every Tuesday, Thursday, your premier destination for sports news. Don't look at those other channels at noon. Come hang with us on Bluff City Media right here, because with the $2, There are no refunds for what you hear. How to think about it.
Botch that every time. That's right. You always get what you pay for. In the show, it's off the rails. You cannot stick the landing.
Thank you for listening to the $2 Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next time.